Eagles fans, come on in to the Postgame Show presented by Ricoh. I'm Gabriella DiGiovanni, joined by Fran Duffy and Ike Reese. Week 4, Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes came to town. It didn't go the way the Eagles, the fans, wanted it to go. However, you hate to look back, it looked a heck of a lot better than it did on Monday night. So a lot of positives to draw, but a loss is a loss.
Yeah, I mean, I come away from this game feeling, I feel a little better after what happened on Monday night, but I'm still frustrated by the opportunities that we don't take advantage of. I mean, we knew the Kansas City Chiefs defense could be vulnerable and you could move the ball up and down the field on them. The key was going to be, would we be able to cash in once we got down to the red zone? And when Coach Sirianni, his staff, the players, when they look back on this film, that'll be the thing that sticks out to them the most, is that they had the opportunities there. They did what they thought they could do offensively, except for cashing in for touchdowns, too many field goals, not enough touchdowns. You can't beat the Kansas City Chiefs kicking field goals. You got to put the ball in the end zone.
And not only that, but 9 penalties again.
Yeah.
And some of those penalties, just crucial times of the game that took points off the board or kept Kansas City on the field. You want to try and get that offense. You got to take advantage of every opportunity on when you have the ball. But same thing when you're on defense, you cannot allow them to sustain those drives.
All right, well, we got a lot to get to, so we're going to head right over to Lincoln Financial Field, where we are joined by our Eagles insider, Dave Spadaro. Dave, we just started kind of scratching the surface on what we saw today. Fran started talking about those penalties. Eagles shooting themselves in the foot all game long. It's kind of been the theme the past few weeks. What do you have to say, what you saw down there on the field from those penalties all game long?
Yeah, I mean, the penalties are certainly an issue, but I'm going to kind of take the positive approach here. The offensive line was thrown together hours before the game started, and the Eagles played well offensively. I like the way that Nick and the coaching staff adjusted the game plan. I like the way they got the football out of Jalen Hurts' hands. I hope this continues. Clearly, the red zone is an issue. It has been an issue since week 2. So there's got to be some sort of a new philosophy or so they got to figure something out inside the 10-yard line. It's been a problem. Look, the penalties, I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer for jumping off sides on 3rd and 6. I don't have an answer for mistakes that Andre Dillard made all game long. 2 or 3 ineligible man downfield penalties, illegal formation penalties. These are basic things, and we've got to see that get better. But I'm going to, as I said, take the positive here. I like the way Jalen went toe-to-toe with Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes. I like the way that Nick structured the offense. The defense is concerning to me, but we can get into that a little bit later on.
Well, Dave, I'm going to stick with you here. We're talking about the offense and namely the quarterback position with Jalen Hurts. Your thoughts, seeing Jalen up close here, go head-to-head with Patrick Mahomes, throwing for more yardage. But I think the big thing, like you said, just how they were able to get the ball out of his hands so quickly. Very similar to what we saw in week 1, but not so much here in weeks 2, week 3. But we see the change here from a philosophical standpoint here today.
Yeah, and I like that change philosophically. I thought Jalen was better today. Look, he missed Zach Ertz down the field in the end zone early on. You can't miss throws like that. And that's what separates the good quarterbacks from the Patrick Mahomes of the world in the NFL. So he's got to be better in those very tight window situations. And Zach was open. But for the most part, and then I think there's also times where, Jalen just kind of like drops his head and runs around and tries to make something happen, and that's got to be better. But for what you're looking for here, you obviously want to win the football game, but taking steps forward, I thought today was a step forward for Jalen Hurts, given everything going on with this Eagles offense and the offensive line.
Yeah, I thought the whole offense took a step forward today, Dave. I mean, the offensive line being patched together, Lane Johnson, a late scratch, that couldn't have been easy when it comes to cohesion. But I also like what Devontae Smith was able to bounce back and do today. Now, we know he's caught the ball when he's been open and been able to sit down in zones. But I like what I saw from Devontae from a contested catch standpoint. I thought he also took a step forward and continuing to build off the momentum that he had earlier in the season.
100% agree with you, Ike, and it is all about going against man-to-man and going against the physical presence of cornerbacks who are trying to get their hands on him, trying to body him out of position. Obviously, late in the game, you can't give up a play on the sidelines where, again, you are stepping out of bounds. This is 2 times in 3 weeks that we've seen a receiver step out of bounds and have an illegal touch and have 6 points come off the board. But yes, Devontae Smith is the go-to wide receiver in this offense. Good to see him reestablish that today.
All right, Dave, thank you so much for your time. And we're going to bring it back to desk and kind of break down what we started discussing with Dave. Obviously, the bright spots, the offense, looked like a completely different offense, if we're being honest, from Monday night. Like Dave mentioned, that offensive line literally thrown together. I mean, it is a makeshift offense. The only starter that had started week 1 was Jason Kelce, center Jason Kelce. So from that perspective, the offensive line played well.
Yeah, this Kansas City defense was exactly what this offense needed, right? As great as their offense is for the Chiefs, their defense is just as bad. And most teams are going to be able to move the football. That shouldn't take anything away from the Eagles' offensive players, their skill position guys, because you got to be in position to take advantage of that. But I didn't have any concerns with our offense today as to whether or not we'd be able to score or be able to move the football. I was more concerned about would we be able to protect Jalen Hurts. Again, the leg scratch from Lane Johnson because of personal reasons. They were already coming into this game with 3 of their starting offensive linemen from the beginning of the season going to be out. Man, I was afraid that it would be a disaster out there. Hats off to Jeff Stoutland getting his guys ready to go, and then to those guys going out there and being able to pick up some of the things the Chiefs were trying to do, especially when they started bringing pressure.
I feel like, Ike, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like when you played, it was quarterback friendly was like a dirty phrase for, you say like, oh, that's like a knock on the offense. Oh, it's a QB friendly offense. But now I think when you look at the way the Eagles structured this game plan, it's so obvious that when an offense is quarterback friendly, well, guess what? It's friendly for the offensive line. It's friendly for the receivers. It's friendly for the running back. The Eagles were able to move the pocket, quick throw, screen game, RPO, misdirection, pre-snap motion. You saw all these different kinds of things. They kept the defense on their toes from the jump. We saw a lot of really good offensive plays here from this Eagles team. The penalties, they got to get back. I mean, 6 points right there come off the board to Devontae Smith. You get the offensive PI against J.J. Arcega-Whiteside down on the goal line. Right there, two touchdowns off the board. Changes the complexion of this game. But I think when you look at the way the Eagles structured this game plan, hats off to Nick Sirianni and the Eagles offensive coaching staff. I thought they did an outstanding job here in this game.
And I want to echo that. I mean, I thought you saw a lot of pre-snap movement. You saw Devontae being lined up in different positions. Quez Watkins being lined up in different positions. I love what we're doing with Kenny Gainwell out of the backfield. Would have liked to see Miles run the ball a little bit more, but those quick passes are just substitutes for runs. When we can't run the ball on the inside, we're going to throw it on the perimeter and let our receivers get 5, 6, 7 yards after the catch. Kansas City, their offense is known for doing that as well. I like what we did with our offense today. I thought we supplemented the run game with the quick passes to the outside, which sort of loosened up the middle part of that Chiefs defense.
You have Jalen Reagor in the backfield, and you're running run play with him to the right and then throwing a screen back left. I thought they did a lot of good things today.
And I think Sirianni answered a lot of questions that people had throughout the week, right? Why wasn't there any motion on Monday night? No run game. All those questions that were being asked all week long, I think he answered a lot of them. Another thing that I thought was done very well with the offense was the versatility. When one guy would come off, another would come in. Ertz would leave, Goddard would enter. Sanders would leave, Gainwell would enter. There was so much going on. It was very dynamic, and I think it was throwing the Chiefs' defense off quite a bit because they didn't know what was happening. It was hard for them to adjust quickly because there was so much swinging in and out.
Yeah, and the players, if the players want Nick Sirianni and his offensive staff to give them more to do on offense, make it more diverse, then they have to be able to execute these types of things. When you just mentioned something big. When you have players coming in and out, what a coach has to trust that everybody is going to play assignment football. We had a few penalties today. I think some of that stuff can be cleaned up with quicker decisions from the quarterback. When we're running those RPOs, the offensive linemen, they don't know if the ball is out of the quarterback's hands or he's giving it to the running back. So some of those down the field penalties on Andre Dillard, I'm not so sure he's at fault for that. Some of that's just play design and decision-making by the quarterback. But I like the fact that Jalen was able to spread the ball around. It makes it more difficult for a defense to hone in on your playmakers. When the defense knows that they have to defend all the eligible receivers, then your offense becomes a lot more difficult to stop.
I thought everybody was involved,
Yes.
and there was a name that you guys mentioned, Kenny Gainwell. I thought he did some really good things. We saw his first rushing touchdown, but also in the passing game. You saw him out in the flats. We saw the screen game, all the different misdirection, the backfield motion. Really, really good stuff from Gainwell today.
I think we should take a look at the other side of the ball, the defense, okay? Now, the defense, week 1, that was the bright spot. Of course, the offense put up a ton of points, and they played very well against Atlanta, but that defense is what had Philly buzzing. And obviously, losing Brandon Graham is a huge loss. And we saw our guy, Javon Hargrave, who's produced week in and week out. We saw him. We saw Josh Sweat. But that run defense is really having a hard time.
Yeah, we need our linebackers to do a better job. I mean, if Jonathan Gannon is going to play 2 high safeties where he can try to keep the deep ball off the defense and force teams to try to beat you underneath, then we're going to have to try to stop the run with 6 or 7 men in the box, and then the safety is coming up late once the run has declared. I think we're having tough times getting off blocks.
Yep.
You know, D linemen, they get up the field, they hold the offensive line, but if those guys get to the second level, we have to be able to take on a block, shed the blocker, get off, and make the tackle. It's a difficult job for linebackers, but in this defense, that's what you're going to have to do. In this league, you got to decide, what do you want to take away? Do you want to take away the deep balls and keep everything in front of you? Then that means you're going to have safeties back. Or do you want to take away the run and play a lot more single high safeties with man-to-man coverage on the outside? That leaves you susceptible to the ball being thrown over your head. We've made the decision. We're not giving up big plays. We're going to make teams earn it. And credit to the Chiefs, they were patient.
Yep.
They stuck with the run. But on our end, our linebackers have to do a better job of getting off blocks.
It wasn't that long ago that you were hearing every single day on your show, like they're giving up too much over their head, too many deep balls down the field at the cornerback spot. And how often today did we see Patrick Mahomes drop back, look downfield, eyes downfield, and then he's got to settle for the check down. He's throwing it to Edwards-Helaire or to Darrell Williams down in the flat. That's what the defense is designed to do. It's doing exactly what they're supposed to. That said, you can't have 5, 6, 7, 8 yards of pop in the run game on first down. Now you get 2nd and 1. You get 3rd and 1. The Chiefs were excellent on 3rd down once again today, and that's because you've got 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. Well, now it's a little dump off to Travis Kelce. It's a little shovel pass to Tyree. You know, you're mixing things up. The game plan you have to be able to get those stops, and I agree with you. They have to do a better job of winning those blocks one-on-one.
And like you said earlier this week on Eagles game plan, it's pick your poison with this offense, you know? And for a while, they were doing a good job. They did a lot of things that the Chargers did last week that worked for them against Patrick Mahomes. They pressured him. He threw an interception. You don't see much of that. Yeah. But again, it's those chunk plays, the same thing the Dallas Cowboys did on Monday night, that they started chipping away at that Eagles defense, and it was successful.
And make no mistake about it, the Chiefs' offense is very difficult to hold down for 4 quarters. It just is. You're talking about arguably the best quarterback in football, arguably the best play designer in the game in Andy Reid. And when you got guys like Tyreek Hill and Pringle and Mecole Hardman, I didn't even mention Travis Kelce. He had a quiet day today.
Yep.
It's just difficult to hold these guys down for 4 quarters. It almost forces you to play a perfect game. It's not an excuse for the Eagles. They certainly can do a better job than what they did today. I'm just saying, very few teams hold this Chiefs offense to 30 or less points.
The margin for error when you go against them is this thin. I mean, it is razor thin. And so you can't have, hey, 3rd and 6, all right, we got him where we want him, and now you jump off sides. Yeah. Or, hey, we finally got a sack. Josh Sweat gets to the backfield and gets a sack. Oh, well, it's coming back. There's a illegal contact downfield by Rodney McLeod, right? Those little errors, now all of a sudden, you should have been off the field in 5 plays. Well, now it's a 12-play drive, and they score a touchdown. 7 drives, 6 touchdowns to start the game for the Chiefs. I mean, they have got to find ways to get off the field.
Well, and offensively, when you look at it, the 2 big points of emphasis this next week is obviously scoring in the red zone and eliminating those penalties. Where do you begin, right? When you take all these guys into the film room tomorrow on Monday and you start breaking things down, you start game planning for Carolina, what do you focus on first? Well,
if I'm looking at their red zone, first thing we have to do is stop having pre-snap penalties, whether we jump off sides, line up incorrectly, run a pick play that, I thought that was a bad call on J.J. Arthur-Whiteside, but we can't be put in that position. And if the Eagles look back at the first 4 games of the season, that's the biggest thing that stands out to them, is that they've been in position to put touchdowns on the board. They shot themselves in the foot. And when you go on the road, you have to limit your mistakes. So when you ask, what do you focus in on? I think the smaller things, the details, making sure that you are fine-tuning your work, your responsibility on every play, and making sure you're doing your job. Because the Eagles are right there. I mean, they really are. But they've gotten to the point where we get down in the red zone, and when we score, everybody's looking around to see if there's a flag thrown, because it's almost like we don't score without a flag being thrown at some point.
And that's where the run game also can become
Yeah,
more of a
you gotta
weapon.
put that
when
in there,
when you're running the football well down in the red zone, that's
Yeah.
where it can really be felt. Right now, the Eagles, we talked about it, get the ball out fast. They did all these things in the quick game here today against the Chiefs. When you get down to the red zone, the field shrinks. The defense knows the ball's coming out fast. The defense knows it's not going to be a 50-yard play down the field. So you've got to be able to find other ways to be able to move the football inside the 20.
Yeah, running the ball is huge. And we know they're not going to go 4 or 5 straight running plays there, but the threat of the run, I think, opens up play-action pass for you. And then when you see, like, the Kenny
no
Gainwell
question.
touchdown, the Chiefs are expecting pass there. You get a ball to Kenny Gainwell, and he's able to basically walk in for a touchdown.
No doubt.
I do think a huge bright spot in Jalen Hurts' game today was his accuracy under pressure. He was pressured quite a bit, and he threw some of his best passes when the pocket was collapsing around him.
Yeah, I thought Jalen had a nice bounce-back game today. The fact that he was able to, play the way that he did Monday night, accept all that blame and responsibility, and know that Pat Mahomes is on the other side of the field and that they're going to score points, I thought he played within himself. This is a very easy game for a quarterback to say, let me try to outduel the guy across the field from me and go out there and try to make spectacular plays. I thought he made the plays that were there for him to make, and he didn't take too many chances with the football. Maybe one throw that he probably shouldn't have thrown.
Fourth down play. To me, like, it was the interception rolling to his left, or the near interception rolling to his left.
That's the one I was thinking about.
And then even the fourth down play late, where you're throwing it out of bounds and not giving your guy an opportunity.
You got to give somebody a chance.
Yeah, so to me, it's like, okay, let's get the situational stuff corrected. As you mentioned earlier, some of those illegal men downfield penalties, that's on Jalen, right? Where either he makes a bad pre-snap read, or the ball just comes out a little bit late, and now you've got linemen downfield. But overall, we saw some big-time throws here from Jalen in this game.
Yeah, I thought he threw the ball much better today. He threw the ball with confidence today.
Yep.
Even the balls he threw down the field were put in a place where his guys can make a play on the football. So with the exception of a missed throw here or there, man, we forget that Jalen Hurts is still a quarterback that's learning every game. So we have to almost look at the quarterback position and say, is he getting better, or is he making the same mistakes? Is he learning from mistakes he made the week before? And I think this is a game where you can say he took more than a step forward. I think he took a couple steps forward.
Well, and it's week 4, and so we're still learning who this team is. We're still learning who Nick Sirianni is as a head coach, who Jalen Hurts is as a quarterback. If Devontae Smith is a first-round draft pick, right? Yep. But I think we learned a lot about them today. Like you said, they are close. But I think this is going to be much more of a process than maybe people expected. Maybe people expected the pieces are there, so we're going to see the Eagles come alive. It's still week 4, and there's a lot that needs to happen, and there's a lot that needs to unfold and develop. And when guys are getting injured, that's the game of football.
And I tell you, the hardest thing to do, man, is win in the National Football League, especially consistently. And when you're a young team who's still trying to find its own identity as individuals and then come together as a team and build that team, the last hurdle is winning close games, winning games that people don't expect you to win. And when you play in a game versus the caliber of talent they played today, now it's putting together 4 quarters of football to try to win those games. I think back to 1999 in Andy's first year, we had some of those, oh man, we were just that close. We had games where we led for 3 quarters, but we found a way to lose the game in the 4th quarter. And all of those things helped us out the following year in Andy's second year. But it was those tough, close games in his first year that we had to learn as a team how to win those football games. And the first step is believing you can win those football games, as opposed to coming into the game saying, I hope we don't get embarrassed today, or I hope I play well today. I thought they came into today's game believing they could win this football game.
You might be a little young for this, Ella, but the Any Given Sunday speech, Al Pacino, like game of inches, like that's what it's about, right? I mean, it is absolutely a game of, and those little errors, they just start piling up, and now all of a sudden, what would have been a one-score game. Now it's 3 scores, and it's out of reach.
It's not one of those situations where, here's your participation trophy,
Sure,
right?
no.
We don't believe in those.
No.
But there's still a lot of things to walk out of this game with your head held high because they did adjust. They did truly watch that Dallas film and make adjustments. I mean, again, we've said this, we've harped on it. It looked like a different team from Monday night. Monday, they were never in it. They were never in it.
Right.
That's the bottom line. They were very much in this football game.
And it was, to me, it's big the way they played, even though they lost the game, is that after the last 2 games, doubt can creep in, right? The momentum is going the wrong way as opposed to going in the right direction. So even with a game like this against the Kansas City Chiefs, that offense, now the defense obviously still has some things to work on, but that offense is going to feel positive about themselves. They're going to feel, okay, now we got some good momentum going. We just need to clean up the small things, and we could have scored 40 points today. And they very well could have scored 40 points today, just like the Chiefs did, if you don't shoot yourselves in the foot and you're kicking field goals as opposed to touchdowns. That's really the difference in the game today. The Chiefs didn't kick field goals when they got down to the red zone. They scored touchdowns. The Eagles wound up kicking, 3 field goals a day or 4 field goals a day? And they could have very easily added 2 more touchdowns, possibly 3, and we're looking at a different ball game.
There were as many punts at the link today as there were here at NovaCare. There were no punts in this football game. But to me, you go over the defensive side, and it's just about trying to figure out a way to get off the field. And again, it goes back to what we were talking about on offense. It's a lot of those small errors.
Defensively, obviously, we saw Ronnie McLeod make his return, which was huge. And I think you saw quickly his impact. Like you said earlier, Patrick Mahomes, it was difficult for him to find an open guy downfield.
And the thing for me that I love having Rodney back is his experience, right? We know he's played in big games. He's won a Super Bowl. So, and having that veteran experience back there with Anthony Harris, now you can have the conversations when you come to the sideline on what type of adjustments are we going to make. It's hard to do that with young players because young players haven't seen everything.
Right.
A guy like Kayvon Wallace has only been in the league for a year and a half. He doesn't know every formation. Rodney McLeod, Anthony Harris, tons of years of experience combined. To me, we should start getting better play and even more productive play from a standpoint of taking the football away when Rodney continues to get his legs under him. First game for him, hadn't played, since last year when he was injured, so I didn't expect a whole lot. But the fact that he was able to make Pat Mahomes pull that ball back down and not throw it deep, I think Rodney just gets better as the year goes on with Anthony Harris.
And I think it's big, too. He obviously did not start the season on injured reserve, right? So he was able to practice for the last month. He was able to get those mental reps off the field, but then on the practice field has been able to work with Anthony Harris, work with the starters, and get kind of inculcated into that defensive scheme. I think that was big for him as well.
Offensively, I want to go back for a second. I think something the Eagles did very well was that hurry-up offense.
Yeah.
They kept it moving. When it was working, they thought, why stop? Keep going, keep going, keep going. What can they learn or what can they gain from continuing to play football like that? Obviously, there's going to be times where you're going to need to pull it back, take a second. But especially with that young offensive line out there today that haven't really gotten any reps together before, I thought that was impressive to see them be so aggressive and keep going for it.
Yeah, and you give the coach the opportunity to implement this into the game plan because the young guys were able to handle it. And so it's always a thin line between trying to run the hurry-up offense and trying to make sure the guys are executing. So I remember in years past when we used to want to run the hurry-up offense that would allow the quarterback to get into a rhythm. Well, you got to be productive to do that. And so that means when you're running the hurry-up offense, you can't have false starts. You can't have drop balls. You can't be behind the chains. That gives the coach the confidence to continue to do that. But if you're going to make mistakes, you're going to drop the ball, we're going to line up incorrectly, well, then the coach is going to say, guess what? We got to huddle up, catch our breath so we can talk this thing out and get lined up correctly.
There's nothing worse than hurrying up into a 3-and-out. Right. You as a
Remember those
player,
days, yes.
You as a defensive player, you're like, man, we're back on the field again. But I think the big thing, too, to your point, Kenny Gainwell, Quez Watkins, Devontae Smith, obviously the young pieces along the offensive line. Jalen Hurst, just his, 6th, 7th start at this point. So you're seeing a lot of these young players execute there in the hurry-up offense. I think that was big. But again, just kind of going back to the game plan. I just feel like this was a really good offensive game plan, just some things that they need to tweak and just improve on from an execution standpoint?
Offensively, I think there's a lot of confidence now in this team for Jalen Hurst, for those young receivers, for now these young offensive linemen who some of them are going to be out there for the rest of the year. Yeah. I think confidence is a good thing, obviously, to start breeding around here. Yesterday was a punch in the gut, last week, and so I think this is very good for the offense moving forward. We're actually going to head over to Lincoln Financial Field where we'll hear from Nick Sirianni.
What happened on the fourth down, deciding whether to go for it, and the timeout, and then the field goal?
Yeah, we went all the way down there. We had a really good drive. We ran out of time on the play clock on the one. I didn't get the call in quick enough, and so once we got to that, I thought it was important that we got points on the board at that particular time. I thought it'd just be too much of a momentum swing if they stopped us on 4th and 3, so I decided to kick the field goal.
What was the conversation with the ref? Because if you're going to kick the field goal, there's no need to take the timeout.
Yep, I'll keep that conversation between us. I'm not going to make an excuse about anything, and so I got to be better.
How about the offensive foul on J-Jaw on that touchdown? What was your conversation like there? Did you get an explanation for why that was called?
Yeah, they thought that he pushed him downfield and they thought it was DPI. And you know what? They got a tough job. The referees have a tough job. We got a tough job. Players have a tough job. They're trying to get it right. I know they're trying to get it right. They're trying to do their best to get it right. And sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. I'm not saying one way or the other. If they got that right, I'll keep my opinion to myself. But they got a tough job, just like all of us.
Can you walk us through the decision right before the second half when short pass to Kenneth Gainwell, you didn't call timeout there?
Mm-hmm. We do a ton of studying of all those situations throughout each week, and we felt like we could get a play off that was going to go out of bounds before that. So we wanted to save that timeout. All those times right there when you can save a timeout right there, and I'll double down on that call. It didn't work. It didn't work that time, and he got a sack, and they got and it was a long thing. But I'll stick with that call all day because I've put myself in that position 1,000 times when I've watched it. So because of where we snapped that thing, if it got a little bit lower, then I would have clocked it or called a timeout. But to have that timeout right there when an NFL defense will do is if you don't have a timeout, play a sideline defense where now it's making it almost impossible to get to the sideline. So I stick with that call. I stand by that call. It didn't work, and I got to sit by that.
The rush play accounted for the poor protection?
I don't, because we've run that play a bunch in my past, not just here in Philadelphia. We've run it a lot in Indianapolis and San Diego. When I was in Kansas City, that was our out-of-bounds play, and you know what? It didn't work this time.
Big picture, what's your assessment of this game? What's the primary emotion you walk away with?
Yeah, I mean, you're upset. You're furious that you go to 1 and 3. But a lot of good. We can also see that there's some things that they're to build on there. The self-inflicted wounds have to stop. And I know I sound the same, but it's still true. We gotta stop the self-inflicted wounds of putting ourselves in holes and with penalties. The guys did a good job. We won the turnover battle. Our defense took it away. We didn't give it away. They forced another fumble on special teams. So there's some good things, obviously, right there. We got to do things better, both offensively and defensively, and special teams wise. There was one time we started inside the 15. So we have to use this tape and get better from it. My message was really never going to change, win or lose. That we got to take the correct. We got to make our corrections and get better from it. But there's a lot of guys that battled their tails off today, and there's a lot of guys that played good football today, and you're happy with that, but obviously you're never satisfied, and you're always upset when you lose.
You had difficulty executing in red zone situations. What's been the problem with that? That was the case also in the San Francisco game. It was also the case in this game here today.
Yeah, we had the one in San. I think we were 5 of 6 before this game here today, and we had the one in San Francisco where we weren't good enough on. And then today, 3 of 6. When you're playing a team like that, you got to convert there. And so it's the plays I'm calling. It's the lack of execution. But I'll always have it start with me. And when the plays don't work, that's on me. And so I got to call better plays. I got to put our guys in better positions to win. And everyone's going to look at themselves and on all those plays too and say, I could have done that better on this play, or I could have done this better on this play. It's a team. It's the greatest team sport there is. It starts with me. I got the plays that didn't work. That's on me. I got to come up with better scheme and put the guys in position to make a play.
When did you find out about Lane, and how tough was it to adjust at the last minute with Chapter scored right?
I found out a couple hours before the game. I think Jeff Stoutland and Shane Steichen just did a phenomenal job just getting everybody ready to go, and it's no secret. Jeff Stoutland, our offensive line coach, he's got everybody ready to play in all these different scenarios if different scenarios happen. Well, we were proposed with one of those scenarios today. I thought the offensive line battled. I thought they played really well, and that's just a tribute to Coach Stout of how good of a football coach he is and how he's gotten the guys better as a whole with their fundamentals, and he mentally prepares them. And then just a tribute to the guys that stepped in and played. They really played good. All those guys. I got to watch the tape to tell you exactly how they played, but I thought they battled. They battled really. They played their tails off. They played hard. They played physical. We got a lot of warriors right there in that group. So I thought they did a good job in the circumstances that they were.
Was Lane here?
I'm not going to discuss any Lane.
More information beyond.
No, just a personal situation, and I'm just not going to discuss that right now.
You mentioned some of the self-inflicted stuff. The illegal man downfield stuff, that's kind of a tightrope between the quarterback getting it out, the offensive line realizing. How do you kind of deal with that?
Well, they're calling it. The referees they're calling that pretty hard this year, and probably a little bit harder than they have in the past. And so we have to adjust. And we can't. And that starts with me. We got to adjust how we're blocking it. We got to adjust how we're teaching the blocking schemes to not allow the guy, and how we're reading it. So, or just don't call it. I mean, that's what we're going to have to do, because you obviously can't shoot yourself in the foot. So that's my fault. That's my. I got to get better at that with the. With that, it's not Andre's fault that he was downfield on that one, because the timing was pretty good. And the referees, I thought, did a good job of refereeing it.
Couple more, guys.
Touchdowns came off the board because of penalties. From a big picture perspective, why does this keep happening?
Yeah, I mean, they had the PI on that I answered about, JJ, I think, from you, and then the illegal man downfield that I just answered, and the other one was the guy out of bounds. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I guess I answered the first two. The last one right here. He ran out of room. I said the same thing with Jalen on the other one, that he's got to work a better release at the line of scrimmage. Devontae will be the first one to tell you that, to save the quarterback room. There was some hand fighting, some pushing. Like I said, referees have a tough job, and there was hand fighting on both sides. So I don't blame that on him. We just got to save room. That's a technique thing, and then my answer on the other two.
I know the Chiefs have a good offense.
I'll answer yours too.
Nick, we know the Chiefs are a very good offense, but how do you think the defense performed today against them?
Yeah, they got a lot of good players, and obviously, Mahomes is a really good player. He's an NFL MVP for a reason. Coach Reed is a really good play caller. Coach Bieniemy does a great job getting his guys ready. So, and then you see Kelsey and Hill. I mean, they got really good playmakers, and so that was a tough challenge for our defense today. You're always going to look when a team rushes for that many yards. You're always going to look at that and say we got to stop the run. Because they didn't, on that. So that's going to always be the first emphasis. I obviously need to watch the tape on a lot of that. A lot of times I'm looking down at my call sheet too to see what I'm going to call next. But I'll have a better answer for you. But anytime you rush for that many yards, you're going to have to improve in that area. Go ahead. I'm going to add one more.
What did you think of Jalen's performance?
I kind of talked to somebody in there. I just said that's one of the better quarterback performances I've seen, and I've been around a lot of good quarterbacks, with Phillip Rivers and Andrew Luck. I mean, he battled. He made good decisions with the football. He got out of trouble when there was trouble. He made good checks. He made good reads. I thought that's the best I've seen him in practice. That's the best I've seen him in a game since I've been here. So hats off to Jalen. He battled, and that's going to be important for us moving forward.
All right, guys, thanks. We're going to try to get as many players.
Smitty, on a touchdown that was well bet, what needs to happen, I guess, before you get to that point on the field?
Just need to squeeze and hold my line. That's all it was. I got pushed too far to the sideline, so I just need to squeeze and hold my line. That won't happen.
Devontae, your first 100-yard game, obviously, you didn't get on top where it mattered on the scoreboard, but what does it mean to you to get over that mark first time in the NFL?
I mean, we're a good team. We still got some things we got to clean up. We're right there. We know the mistakes we made, know the things we got to do. So it's all credit to the team. I mean, us just getting better each week. Little things we leaving out there we can correct, and, I mean, we're a good team.
How do you walk away doing that game? Because you obviously had success, but the one touchdown did get called back.
Like I said, I mean, we're a good team. It's small things we got to correct. We know what those things are. But, I mean, control, we can control, fix that, on to next week.
What are those things that need to be corrected from your perspective?
Just small penalties, things like that, hurting ourselves. Nothing the other team is doing is everything. We're doing ourselves, just little penalties and things like that, small details in plays.
Do you feel like your chemistry with Jalen has improved throughout the last couple of weeks? I know the previous few games it was harder to connect, but this game you guys really seem to be on point and on time.
I mean, as a team, I mean, that's what we practice for, to just connect as a team, as an offense. In a little thing that we can correct to get right, we try to do that. So as an offense, we're getting better.
What happened on that one play? It looked like Jalen threw the ball and you ran a different route.
That was my fault. Route was supposed to convert, and I didn't convert it.
Nick just said this was Jalen's best game from his perspective. You knew him back at Alabama. You know him now again in Philadelphia. How do you think he performed today?
I mean, he prepares for moments like this. I mean, he comes in every day. He's one of the first guys in the building. And, I mean, just seeing him do that, I mean, I try to beat him to the building. So, I mean, it's guys like him that you need on this team. I mean, he prepares every day. I mean, that's why the success he's having it because of the way he prepares.
What's your assessment of your performance through 4 games?
I mean, as a team, we just got to get better. I mean, the things that we got to correct, we're going to correct. And, I mean, we correct those things, we're a good team.
Devontae, with the first 2 touchdowns that were taken away in the first half and in the third quarter, you guys still played really strong in the fourth quarter. Your spirit and to keep pushing in that game, how do you like that from your team to keep pushing like that?
I mean, that's the whole memo. I mean, you can't control what the refs call, so just go on and move from it and just go on to the next play. So that's the mentality we had. I mean, they take it away from us, let's go do it again. That was the mentality the whole time.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Devontae.
Nick and Jamal seem to be putting you in important spots throughout the games. What level of confidence do you have when you go into those big spots and they call your number?
It's my preparation during the week, you know, just going in and getting in whenever my name is called, you know, preparing and being ready once I get out there, you know. Once they know they put me in, I'm doing what I got to do, you know, just keep working.
Did you guys think that there was going to be opportunities to pass underneath?
Oh, yeah, for sure. You know, we coming in, we ready for anything. We know that we can take shots, we can do anything underneath, you know, just our preparation.
There was a last-minute shuffle on the offensive line. How do you think the guys in front of you played?
I think the guys played very well, you know. They continue to do what they do, you know, make sure they listen, you know, and continue to work hard.
Hey, that 4th down catch you made, you know, underneath early in the first quarter, were you the first option on that, or was that just Jalen finding you through his progressions?
On the Jalen progression, you know, knowing where to throw the ball to, knowing where to get to, seeing this guy wide open. You know, Jalen did a great job on that.
How frustrating are the penalties? You know, you
guys had three touchdowns, like called back as an offense. How are you guys able to fight through that?
You know, it's always frustrating when a penalty is called, but you got to come back to the next play and keep working hard and try to score, get down, do what you got to do.
The drive at the end of the first half, when you guys were moving in the 2-minute and then had the fumble, did you see what happened there on the fumble?
Nah, I didn't. But, you know, we got on top of it, but,
Three losses in a row. What's the mood of the team like, would you say?
we keeping an uplifted spirit, you know. We coming back, you know, we putting everything behind us, coming back the next week and continue to work hard. You know, all our preparation through the week, you know, it help us, you know, and we just trying to do everything we can to get a win.
What was Sirianni's message to you guys afterwards?
Just continue to work hard. You know, we really heard a word from Jalen, but, you know, continue to work hard, you know, do what we got to do. Our preparation is going to, you know, get us to the next game.
Freak. All right, let's go.
Darius, what was the
Slay.
Slay, yes.
Yeah.
What was the defensive game plan coming in when you have so many weapons?
You know, they got a lot of weapons. You know, arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the game. You know, already a future Hall of Famer in year 5. So, we got to try to contain him as much as we can. You know, and the weapons he has. So, you know, try to make sure we stop Tyree from trying to go deep a lot. And you know, that was pretty much what it was.
How frustrating are the penalties? You guys, I'm sure, wish you played more disciplined football than that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, because they're causing us, you know, extending drives. We need to get off the field, and, you know, so they be tough, you know, so, but that's self-discipline. And, you know, that's what we got to do. We got to continue to keep working on it and keep pounding it in practice.
How do you guys keep each other accountable after penalties, like in the moment?
I mean, you know, it's hard. You know, like I said, it's a tough game. You know, it's an emotional game. So, you know, we gotta just control our emotions and lock in.
Allowing 40-plus points, what needs to get better?
We all do. You know, we just gotta find what we need to do. I don't know, man. You know, so I be just, you know, trying to just play my hardest. Whatever call he gives, I try to just give it my all and compete. But you know, we just gotta go back to the table, man, and figure this shit out.
Slay, is this an example of growing pains within an entirely new defensive scheme for some of the guys within you?
I mean, typically, yeah. You know, as you know, get a new staff, you gotta learn. You know, it's still early in the season. You know, which that's a good thing, but you know, we gotta start that shit now, though. We gotta figure it out now. You know, we ain't gonna have too much time, so we gotta figure it out now. But you know, people still learning, and you know, I'm still learning myself. So we just go continue to keep learning as a group, man, and find a way to get better.
What's more frustrating as a defense, giving up like big play touchdowns or giving up long drive touchdowns?
Shit, both. I don't want to give near one of them. Shit, I already get off the field 3 and out on all of it. So, that's all it is at the end of the day. I don't care about no touchdown, no long drive. We just need to get off the field.
Kenny said that Jalen talked after the game. Did he address the entire team?
I mean, yeah, you know, we got leaders in there. You know, he's a captain of our team, so a lot of captains address the team and just know, like, let us know, man. We, you know, it's early, but we got to get it right. And, you know, we all both know, and so we're going to try to do that for sure.
What did he say?
I just said it. We just got to get right.
I was just going to ask Slay, what's the mood of the team like? I mean, after 3 losses, would you say?
I mean, shoot, I don't know how, you know, nobody don't like losing, so I feel the same way after 1 loss than I feel it with 3. Shit sucks. So, we just trying to, you know, get in that win column, man. That's an important column. And then, you know, and I need to get that taste out of my mouth. It tastes nasty. So I'm finna go find me something to go spray some orange juice or something down my throat.
It's good? Thanks.
Yeah.
He used to spray orange juice down his throat, get the bad taste of that loss out of there. That's Darius Slay. Always entertaining up there.
You've never done that before?
No, I've never done that before.
I do that after a bad shoot, like after, you know, a shoot of Eagles game plan doesn't go well.
I tell you what, I might have been spraying something else down my throat. It wasn't orange juice. Yeah, you get 3 losses. I ain't drinking orange juice. I'm drinking Ike juice. Yes, it's something a little different.
Ike juice. We all need some Ike juice right about now. All right, let's focus. Get back on track here, fellas. We're going to go back to Nick Sirianni real quick. What he said, high praise for his quarterback. He said it was the best he's seen Jalen play.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think I can disagree with him, especially when I look at the offensive game plan, how he executed it. Listen, he missed a couple throws. We know that. You know, he has a couple throws he wants back, but he didn't run out of the pocket as much today. When I look back at some of his other games where he put up big yardage, some of that came from scrambling, broken plays. I didn't see as many off-schedule plays today. I thought Kansas City would come in with a game plan that would force him to stay in the pocket and throw the ball, and he did just that. There were a couple times where he tried to maneuver around a little bit, but for the most part, I thought he stayed on schedule, got the ball out of his hands quick, threw a lot of catchable balls for his receivers to be able to make plays. I don't know if I can argue with this might have been the best game that he's played in the Eagles uniform.
You almost equate it to like a jump shooter in basketball where like their shot goes cold a little bit. What happens? What does the coach say? All right, let's get you some layups, right? Let's get you some layups. And I feel like in this game, we talked about the offensive game plan, get him out of the pocket, get the ball out fast, the RPOs. All of a sudden, those completions start to pile up. And now he's feeling good. Now you can step up in the pocket and hit Dallas Goedert over the middle of the field. You can hit Zach Ertz on that sail route along the sideline, dropping it over the linebacker underneath the safety. There were a number of those big-time throws today, and I think a lot of that is just getting him into that rhythm.
I think defending Jalen Hurts is going to get increasingly more difficult as he continues to develop. Because still in the beginning of his career, there were things about his game that defenses could easily figure out. You know he can run. That was eventually an easier thing to defend. But as he's developing, as he's growing confidence and getting better and better, it's going to be more difficult to defend him since he is poised in the pocket. We now see he can throw. We now see the way that he can really command an offense in the NFL. And he's doing a really good job of that. So defenses are going to need to really be on their heels, especially as time goes on and he continues to develop in being ready for all that Jalen Hurts is capable of doing.
Yeah, you can tell that they coached him up this week about staying in the pocket. You know, when Nick Sirianni talked last week about the off-schedule plays and the percentage of plays that are off-schedule for Jalen, it's way too high. If you're looking at 50% of the plays that are being called, they turn into off-schedule plays where he has to run around. That's not a good offense for everyone to develop. And so Jalen's job as a point guard / quarterback is to get the ball to the other playmakers and let them make plays. And I thought today was a game where Kansas City felt like we can defend Jalen if we make him stay in the pocket. Jalen recognized that early. First of all, he trusted the pocket, and I thought he played better from the pocket. He's going to have to believe that he can do it. It's too easy of a crutch for him at times to escape the pocket and use that athleticism, right? When you're almost predetermined, that's what you're going to do. I thought today he predetermined, I'm not going to leave the pocket unless it's a last resort. And for that, he stayed in the pocket, and I thought he played better there. And as he continued to play better from the pocket, his confidence grew. This is going to be big for him as he moves on. He doesn't have to rely on that. It reminds me of Mike when he played quarterback. In Atlanta, he wanted to rely on his athleticism. But by the time he got here to Philadelphia, Andy taught him how to play quarterback a different way, and he was able to trust that. I think when Jalen sees that he can have the type of success he had today from the pocket and he doesn't have to use his legs as much, he'll feel more confident and comfortable staying in the pocket and allowing the plays to develop and letting guys come open. I thought that was the biggest thing he did today, is that even when they tried to flush him the other way, for the most part, he stayed there and delivered throws.
It's a little early for me to say this without seeing the film, but I will say just in generalities, sometimes the best throws you make are the ones that you don't make. So there are plays where Jalen Hurts steps up into the pocket and gets sacked for -1 yard here in this game. Well, sometimes those are better than him running around and getting crazy and then making a late throw across the middle of the field that's picked off. And again, I don't know if that's exactly what happened on some of those plays, but going back and looking at the film, we'll see if that's the case.
I think what's really interesting is Sirianni always harps on putting his guys in the best position to be successful. That's always his overarching theme when he speaks. I thought today was the best showing of that. I thought that he didn't try to do too much, and in turn, Jalen Hurst didn't try to do too much. He played very much within the game plan, and you saw even things that I don't think we would have saw on Monday night or weeks prior of just running a quarterback sneak. And it worked. They got a first down because they can do that because the game plan was simple in terms of this is the personnel we have. This is what they're able to do. Let's go out there and be successful.
Yeah, and you could tell his confidence just grew as the game wore on. I mean, even the first drive, they marched down the field with relative ease. And I think they realized at that point, we got some things that are going to be open and available to us today. We just have to be able to take advantage of it. And I thought most of his throws were on target, very accurate, and very catchable.
I would say this about when you talk about the best offenses in the NFL right now. I think a lot of people think of, we talked about this in the kickoff show, is like the people think of the Chiefs as a downfield passing attack. Oh, we're going to drop back and chuck it over the top to Tyreek Hill. The best offenses in the NFL win in the intermediate area. That's what it's about because those downfield plays, those are low percentage plays. When you can get the ball to Dallas Goedert at 12 yards and have him turn into 28. When you can get the ball to to Devontae Smith at 17 yards and he turns into 36, that's where you go.
We have Anthony Harris at the podium.
Veterans on the team, what needs to happen to stop this trend of 44 penalties in 4 games?
Yeah, we just got to find a way to clean it up. Get on the film, continue to come in with the right attitude, continue to take the coaching, and then just continue to self-evaluate each player, each coach, just figure out how we can come together, be on the same page continuously, and find a way to execute and be able to get wins and what that looked like in terms of scheme, in terms of holding teams to, limiting their rushing yards, giving up explosive plays, creating turnovers and things like that.
What happened on those shovel pass touchdowns? And I assume you guys knew that was in their playbook.
Yeah, we knew that's something that was in there. They did a couple different things in terms of finding ways to get to it and different things in terms of distracting your eyes. So we just got to continue to focus up, continue to be in the right spot, and continue to just try to find a way to execute at a high level.
What do you think the main issue is with the run defense?
I'm not sure. It's one of those things that week in, week out, you try to evaluate. See if it's what something you can do, something they did, something that you were not able to prepare for. So that's just something that we're going to get on the tape and see what happened today.
Do you expect teams to keep doing this until you guys stop the run more consistently?
Could you say that again?
Do you expect teams to continue to try to run the ball this way against you guys until you stop it?
I mean, yeah. It's kind of a copycat league. You take a look at film. You evaluate the team that you're going to play. You evaluate yourself. And you try to see, what each team struggle with. What's something that you can try to attack. So in terms of being able to stop the run, I anticipate people testing to see if they can be able to run the ball against us and then going back and getting into their normal routine of what they want to do if they're on a big run team.
How difficult this is it to defend Kansas City? Put aside the skill position guys. There's schematic what they do. How challenging is that?
I mean, it's a challenge. The good teams have, the good players, good coaching. We know they have a ton of talent at each position. They're very explosive. They got a good coaching staff as well. So that's the challenge of, being able to, execute what your coach is being asked, being able to identify some of the things that you talk about to try to give yourself the best opportunity to be successful.
After giving them 40 points in the last 2 weeks, what are you guys on defense saying to each other? What are you talking about? I mean, how do you kind of get all this together?
Well, I think that's the one thing that we have in terms of a special team here. Guys' attitude hasn't wavered one bit in terms of the mindset, physicality, effort, the detail coming into work each day to come in and get ready on the game plan. So as long as that's there, I think we'll have a chance to, get this thing turned around.
They converted 9 and 10 third downs. And from your perspective, what was the problem on third downs?
I mean, I'm not really sure. I mean, it's fresh out the game. Something you got to go back, take a look at the film. I think we had a 3rd and long. He was able to scramble by time. And that's one thing that team does well. Mahomes does a good job of, buying time if there's pressure, kind of getting away from it. His receivers do a good job of, redirecting, finding holes in the defense. So, but I know we got to be better in first and second down and try to get it to more manageable, but also penalties. A few times we had them, backed up a little bit more, and we had penalties and was able to give them a little bit more breathing room.
We heard Jalen Hurst address the team after the game. What did he say?
He's just been himself, about continuing to come to work each day, continuing to have that positive attitude, and that's the one thing he's kind of talking about as well, is just how we go out and play. The attitude and the effort that we go out and play with is there, but we got to continue to clean up the details, whether that's through scheme, whether that's through executing, and that's determining the winning and losing factor.
As a defender, when you see the offense getting into the red zone, scoring a touchdown, then having the points taken away to the penalty, as a defender, how does that, how do you guys kind of rebound from that and knowing that you should be playing defense with a lead instead of if not,
I think it's next play mentality. We try not to play the game in the past, play to play, and evaluate each situation. If points taken off the board, you just say, okay, regardless of whether the points are going to stand or not, we still got to go out there and play defense. And that shouldn't change the attitude and the mindset that we go on the field with. So it's really just, whenever we're on the field, our job is to continue to try to take the ball away, continue to stop the offense from getting points, and then just worrying about the rest later on.
You guys feel like, in a too deep zone, that you can stop the run, stop these teams from running the ball in a too deep zone?
Well, I think we believe in the personnel that we have, but obviously, people on the other side of the ball, they get paid as well. So it's really just about going out there, playing with the attitude, just doing what you being asked to do, and doing with a specific attitude, and then adjusting from that point on whatever the coaches go with.
You guys good? All right.
All right, that was Anthony Harris. He believes that the personnel is in place defensively. He got hit hard with some questions about that run defense that we spoke about earlier, but he's confident in what they have.
As he should be. He's a veteran player, and he's one of the veteran leaders on his team, even though it's his first year, and he realizes he has to show solidarity with his teammates. Right now, you don't know if it's more personnel as an issue or is it the scheme, right? And when you play two safeties high, we talked earlier, you're basically choosing to give up stuff underneath at the expense of keeping, to keep things from being thrown over your heads. And I don't mind that philosophy because explosive plays are truly what get you beat in this league. Now, we have to do a better job rallying to the football underneath, and our linebackers, quite frankly, they're going to have to accept the challenge that they aren't going to get much safety help. The safety help is coming late, and so as a front seven, front six, we're going to have to stop this run. And that's just what the philosophy of the defense is going to be.
You don't like to be in extremes, right? And that's the big thing is right now the Eagles are too far in one extreme in terms of giving up ground in the run game. They've just got to be better at stopping the run. It's like we said earlier, those 6, 7, 8-yard runs on first down, they are killers because it's so hard to be able to get back in front of the sticks as a defense at that point.
And by the way, when you're facing a team like the Chiefs, you don't want Tyreek Hill running by you. You don't want Ricoh Hardman running by you. So most teams are going to employ this type of defense against the Chiefs, if nothing else, to keep the score down as best they can and to give themselves a chance as opposed to giving up explosive quick plays.
You're waiting for them to make a mistake.
Yes.
That's what you're waiting for. And really, when you look at the last 3 weeks, San Francisco, Dallas, and today against Kansas City, all three of those offenses were willing to stay patient, say, all right, we're gonna matriculate the ball down the field, short passes, quick passes, run game. If we're going to give 6, 7, 8, 9 yards a pop, we'll do that. We're not going to force the issue. The Eagles have to find ways to be able to either create some of those turnovers or stop the run and make sure now you're forcing them into third and long.
What's Jonathan Gannon's message this week? The past few weeks, the conversation has been we have to get off the field. They got off the field today, but that's because Kansas City just marches down and scores. So they didn't have to be on the field that long. They kept converting, first down, touchdown, and then they're off. Yeah. So what's his message this week? Because this is a different kind of defensive performance than we've seen, but still kind of searching for answers and figuring out what works best with the players that he has on defense.
I think you keep preaching the same message, obviously, which is you want to play assignment football. You want to be able to rally to the ball, and when you're there to make a play, whether it's a tackle, interception, or punch the ball out, you have to be able to do that. But the Kansas City Chiefs are a different breed when you're talking about trying to devise a defense to slow this offense down. That's not going to be the case against the Carolina Panthers. And while they have Robbie Anderson and I like DJ Moore as a wide receiver, Sam Darnold is not Patrick Mahomes, right? And they don't have a Tyreek Hill and a Travis Kelce. So Carolina's an offense that also wants to play more or less close to the vest and take chances when they get the opportunity as opposed to trying to win shootouts. That's a defensive-minded football team there, and they don't have their best weapon available to them, at least right now. We don't know if Christian McCaffrey is going to play next Sunday, but if they don't have them, it makes their offense a lot more easier to defend. I mean, when you're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, where do you start at? Are you taking away Tyreek Hill? What about Travis Kelce? Right, so you got to pick and choose, and then you got Clyde Edwards-Helaire coming out of the backfield. Oh, you got Pat Mahomes pulling the trigger, arguably one of the smartest quarterbacks, best talented guys in the league. Playing this team keeps defensive coordinators up at night, no matter who you have, personnel-wise. So I don't know how much more Jonathan Gannon could have done today. This was just catching this team at the wrong time and really trying to just give yourself a chance to win this game. Quite honestly, if you put touchdowns on the board as opposed to field goals, maybe you got a one-score game late.
Yep.
I mean, it's usually when you beat the Chiefs, you have to score 30-plus points. You're not beating the Chiefs 20-17.
No.
It's just not happening.
Let me ask you this, Ike. What is it like when you're in a position group or a unit where, it's not one specific area. It's not one guy that's giving up all these rushing yards, right?
Yeah.
It's a collective effort. What is it like for you guys when you kind of get back into the meeting room and say, like, all right, we got to look inwards and try and correct some of these issues?
I mean, it could be frustrating, but I think it's what's needed. Peer accountability is the best accountability. You obviously know you're going to be coached hard by the coaches and they want you to play better. But when you have to sit in that room with your teammates and you're a part of that unit and you realize you didn't do your best, man, it makes you focus in when you go out there to the practice field. And, throughout my career being a role player, I wanted to make sure those starters, if I had to be called upon to either start in place of Carlos Simmons or Mike Caldwell or being out there as the third down linebacker, I wanted to make sure I was doing my part so that they could count on me, so that Jim Johnson could count on me and wouldn't have to necessarily put a defense together that hides me or hides my deficiencies. And that's really what the players are going to have to do. The schemes are the schemes. It's how you execute the schemes. And you can be in position, the coach can call the right play, but if you don't come up and make the tackle or your face mask or something like that negates the play, then it's all for naught. So as players, we want to make sure we get in there and we're doing the small things right first and foremost. Coach is going to put us in position, and then it's up to us to go out there and execute.
And so it's kind of an accountability aspect, with not just with the coaches, but also the vets in that room as well, right?
Oh, plenty of meetings that didn't involve coaches.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So we had that sort of veteran-laden group that, if that means we have to stay an extra 30 minutes for us to just watch film together so that we can talk some things out and figure out what you saw here versus what you saw there, those are the type of small things that make good football teams, right? And these are things that teams, the Eagles are still learning right now. This is still a relative new team when it comes to putting these guys together and knowing how to play off of each other. We didn't get that early with Andy and Jim Johnson. That stuff came to us as the years built up and we continued to play with each other. That those are the things that the good football teams that win week in and week out, that's what they do. I mean, just those are the extra things that those teams do.
Well, and due to injury, unfortunately, there's younger guys that now have to grow up more quickly. There's younger guys. We're going to go back to Lincoln Financial Field. Jalen Hurst at the podium.
John, on the first drive when you guys lined up to go for it on fourth down, did you call the timeout to avoid the delay game penalty?
Trying to get the ball snap, get the ball snap, ended up running out of time, so ended up using the timeout. I did call the timeout.
Jalen, Nick said that probably the best game you've seen a quarterback play. Do you kind of feel like you had the best game you've ever played?
Look, we lost. We lost. We lost the game. We gotta do more. Gotta do better. And this is what I'm gonna say. You know, you got every opportunity to learn, right? Every opportunity, everything that you do, you learn from it. And we're clearly not there as a football team because we've lost. But we're this close. We're this close. And that's something that I believe. That's something that I believe. We have to continue to grow, continue to learn, continue to be 1% better every day. Rent been doing every day. Continue to clock in and buy into that and believe in that. And that's what it's going to take. And we're not a finished product. No player on this team is a finished product. But it's about believing in that and continue to grow and learn from everything that you do. You know, we played a good football team out there. We played a good football team out there today. A team that many say is generationally one of the best. And great quarterback, great players, all that. We got great players too. And we have to put that, we got to put it together, and we will. We're not a finished product.
Why do you think you're close, and what do you think needs to change?
I think we're close because everything we do, we control it. We control the penalties. We control the little things. And it's all magnifying in games against good football teams in which we've played good football teams to this point every game. And it all is magnified. So it's to us, you know, it's on us. It's on us to execute and do the things we need to do. It's on us to, you know, a lack of commitment, never question that about anybody. A lack of effort, I'll never question it about anybody because we're going to fight. We're going to fight. We're just this close to putting it together.
Why do you talking about when you're a young team and you're going through growing pains on both sides of the ball, but you're also very competitive and want to win? How do you as a team balance that? Like, is it more important than just grow and learn every day, or even in a loss, can you be acceptable with some of that?
The only thing on my mind is winning. Only thing on my mind. That's everybody's mentality. And there are no moral victories. No.
You're emphasizing growth. So you've lost 3 in a row. If you lose games, can you still be at least encouraged by anything you're seeing?
Is the glass half empty or half full? Every opportunity is an opportunity to grow. We've learned from week 1, we've learned from week 2, we've learned from week 3, and we'll learn from this game too. And we'll go clock in this week, turn it up a little notch in terms of our preparation, and try and go be the good Panthers football team.
If the penalties were a problem the first 3 weeks, and then you had 3 touchdowns taken off the board today because of penalties, how much are you guys learning there if it's not getting fixed?
Rome wasn't built overnight. Take time, but I believe.
What happened on the... Going back to that first drive that you were asked about when you called timeout, did you expect to then go for it on 4th down after the timeout?
You repeat that question?
You called timeout that first drive, 4th and 3, as the play clock was running down. Did you expect to then go for it after the timeout?
I was doing whatever coach wanted us to do. I think there was a miscommunication. And it's little stuff like that, man. Little stuff like, you know, crowd gets hot, loud, something new for me, quiet them down, something like that makes a big difference. Everybody can hear me. Me calling a timeout, communicating that to the coaches. I called a timeout. It was not a delayed game. It was an assumed delayed game. Probably would have went for it, probably wouldn't have, but you know, it happened the way it happened. We got to capitalize in the red zone.
On the 3rd down sack, they sent a blitz at you. What happened on that play?
Took a sack.
Jalen, a couple guys said that you addressed the team afterwards. So what moved you to do that, and what'd you say?
Really my same message to you guys coming out here. Everything is in our hands. That's what I believe. I believe that everything is in our hands and everything is controllable. You play this game, you want to control it. We didn't control. We didn't capitalize on the opportunities in the red zone. Against a good football team, you have to score touchdowns. We got to score touchdowns, and that's not something we all didn't know. We just didn't do it. I feel like we played aggressive. Offensively, I feel like we tried to go out there and attack. We didn't punt the ball many times, I don't think. So we just want to take advantage of our opportunities. We want to get points, and that's just what we want to do. And it's close. We're coming.
So why do you guys have difficulty scoring in goal-to-goal situations, scoring touchdowns in those situations? What's been the problem? I mean, you had the same situation against San Francisco a couple of weeks ago, and there was some difficulty today. What do you think is the problem there?
It's not something I can really pinpoint. I'm going to take accountability for everything on my end, you know what I'm saying? Whether it be being more decisive up down there or flat out just executing and getting in the end zone. We have a lot of playmakers and we need to get in. It was the difference in this game, clearly.
Jalen, there have been a few times this year where you guys have been trailing, it's 4th down, and you throw the ball away. Do you feel like you need to be more aggressive that late in the game when you guys are trailing the way you are?
I mean, I didn't intentionally throw the ball away. I got 2 guys in my face, I think. Tried to keep it in bounds, didn't. But my message is this. We control our own destiny. We're the master of our own faith, and the captain of our own soul, and we control everything moving forward. I think that's the mentality of this team. We're going to continue to grow, continue to learn. That's what I believe, and that's what we believe. And we're going to fight. We're going to give effort relentlessly. We're going to all learn from it, move forward. Our process doesn't change in terms of every day getting better, but we take it personally, and it's coming.
All right. Thanks, folks.
All right, that was your quarterback, Jalen Hurts. Ike, he echoed something you said earlier, that the Eagles are this close.
Yeah, and listen, when you're a young team, you're trying to find things to build off of. And the last thing they want to do this early in the season is become so discouraged that you don't believe in yourself. So, Jalen realizes that, they are close, and they really are. And it's the small things they need to clean up to at least give themselves a chance to close out some of these games.
And I love that he was asked about his individual performance in the beginning. And he was no different than he was the other night against the Cowboys, right? And that was a very different kind of performance for the offense in that game. And I think that kind of speaks to his mindset, that team-first mentality.
We talked a lot about the creativity of the offense today. So Fran earlier took a look at some of those creative plays we saw, especially out of the rookie Devontae Smith. So in this week's Ricoh review, we're going to check it out.
All right, well, this week here on the Ricoh Review, I want to take a look at the Eagles' offense because I thought we saw some really good things here on Sunday, especially in the first half. And it all started on the opening drive of the game. This screen pass to Devontae Smith. He goes 22 yards. Let's see exactly how this play comes to be. Now, first things first, you're going to see the bunch set from the Eagles up at the top of the screen. 3 receivers with a Y ISO formation. And what I mean by Y ISO is that you've got an inline tight end as a Y isolated on the backside of that bunch set. So you've got Dallas Goedert here at the bottom of the screen. Here's Miles Sanders in the gun. Now, what we're going to get from the Eagles is they're going to bring Quez Watkins in motion. They're going to release the running back Sanders up the seam, and they're also going to release Dallas Goedert. And what that's going to look like is one of the go-to plays around the NFL to get the running back down the field in the deep part of the passing game. What that's going to do, that's going to send alarm bells off in this Kansas City Chiefs secondary. You're going to see a lot of these white jerseys all flow this direction to try and play against this motion from Quez Watkins and the action from Miles Sanders. And we're going to let this roll here for a second. Just watch the motion from the Eagles and watch all of these white jerseys all start to flow towards that side, towards the boundary side. What does that do? It plays right into the hands of the Eagles offense because they're actually running a screen the opposite way. Watch Devontae Smith. He's going to put his foot in the ground and come back the other way. Let's let this roll for a second. And you can see how these blocks are going to develop. You've got Andre Dillard does a great job out in space. Landon Dickerson does a great job. Jason Kelsey walls off the backside defender. J.J. Arthego-Whiteside, he goes man-on-man on the corner. So now you've isolated Devontae Smith one-on-one with the safety. Devontae does a nice job. He comes through here, does a great job here. Excellent play design by the Eagles coaching staff. You got some backfield action. You have the pre-snap motion, good screen game, well-defined throw, and then you get the yards after catch element. A lot of boxes checked here for Nick Sirianni and the Eagles offense. Opening drive leads to points. Didn't end in a touchdown, but a good start here offensively. Like I said, I thought we saw some good things here on that side of the football here today.
Now is your chance to vote for the Toyota Player of the Week. Go to PhiladelphiaEagles.com/Toyota Player of the Week to cast your vote and get a chance at a brand new Toyota. All right, let's see it. Our 3 nominees for today. We're going to kick things off with Smooth Kenny G. There he is. 3 attempts, 31 rushing yards, a rushing touchdown. He also caught 6 passes for 58 yards. Boy, had a day. All right, we're going to move on to the quarterback. We heard from him earlier, Jalen Hurst. There he is, 32 for 48, 387 yards, 2 touchdowns. His QBR of 105.1. Certainly had a day, of course. We broke down everything he did today. But also, how about the rookie? 7 receptions for 122 yards. His longest came 37. It was good to see him get out there and get things rolling. Guys, we talked about it, we broke it all down. Big performances from the offense today, but to see Devontae Smith really come out and have a day was quite exciting.
Yeah, he really was, and he had struggled the last couple of games. Great to see him get back out there today, have a huge impact on the game. Went up to catch the football a few times. Kenny Gainwell looked nice. Come on, man, this is Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, 380 yards passing, coming back from the game that he had on Monday night. That's what you want from your quarterback. He can't have a great game every game. And when he has a rough one, the true sign of a great quarterback, or the makings of one, is how you bounce back from the rough games. And I thought he bounced back today spectacularly.
Are you feeling okay? We couldn't go with Javon Hargrave this week.
No.
We didn't have Hargrave as an option, so you couldn't make it 4 weeks in a row.
He did get a sack, though, didn't he?
He did get a sack. That said, I would have given it to Devontae if it not been for that penalty. I will go with Jalen Hurts, though. I agree with Ike. I think you got to go with Jalen Hurts in this game, but we'll let you guys make that choice at home.
All right, well, in typical NFL fashion, we're going to flip the page, and we're going to look to next week, October 10th, the Carolina Panthers. The Eagles are getting ready to face an NFC South foe. This year, they're 3-1. They lost their first game today against those Dallas Cowboys, 36-28. Matt Rule in his second season, but he's got a new quarterback. Sam Darnold, he's doing some good things down there in Carolina. So we'll see them next week, October 10th at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, a little bit different offense than what we saw today
yes.
in the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, we don't know if Christian McCaffrey will be able to play this week, but if he doesn't, I think that limits what they can do on offense. They build so much around Christian McCaffrey. He's such a versatile threat. Not having him, I wonder what Matt Rule will do as far as an offense. His defense is going to play, so we'll have our work cut out for us offensively. But I'm just wondering what they're going to do offensively to try to move the ball.
They have a very distinct offensive identity where they're going to play really tight, a lot of stuff in between the hashes. They're going to get their receivers the ball in space, yards after catch. It's a really fun offense to watch. Defensively, though, that's a fast group, and they do a great job of breaking down protections. They're one of the leaders right now in sacks defensively.
Another challenge for Jalen Hurts and his offense, but we know when we get to that Jameson nightcap, it's time to close things out,
right.
Guys. Another one down, week 5 on the way. That's it for us here on the Postgame Show presented by Ricoh. I'm Gabriella DiGiovanni for Fran Duffy and Ike Reese. We'll see you next week.